welcome back to the Real Games Cast. We're going to move on into topic 3, which is my topic. And guys, I want to talk about Naughty Dog, arguably the best developer in the world right now. They're getting ready to send out Uncharted 4. This, hopefully, I'm rumored to be October. Where does Naughty Dog go after Uncharted 4? Now, presumably you got The Last of Us 2, but what else could Naughty Dog do other than The Last of Us 2?
Are they're making The Last of Us 2? Is like that confirmed?
That's not really confirmed, but I mean, that's a pretty safe assumption.
I really don't think they should make The Last of Us 2, honestly.
Blasphemy.
I mean, if they're going to make a Last
Jordan has an opinion on it.
If you're going to make a Last of Us 2, don't make it about Joel and Ellie again.
Why not?
I mean, their story really, it tied up. That's one of the games that doesn't need a sequel.
I disagree completely.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be some kind of because Ellie knows that Joel is lying. Like you can just tell.
Spoiler alert at the end of the game.
Well, yeah, I mean, anyone who hasn't played it by now isn't probably going to play it.
The game is 2 years old. That's true.
1 year old for PlayStation 4 players.
But like Jordan said, you can really get the sense at the end of the game that Ellie can tell that Joel is lying to her.
Yeah.
But don't you want to see it all? How that comes back on Joel?
I mean,
or how that develops.
If they do make a Last of Us 2, yes, I'm gonna go buy it. But they really just, I don't think they have to. If they want to, fine, but they don't have to, is what I'm saying.
So you don't feel that it's really that that they can do it, but it's not really warranted. It's not something they should do.
Yeah, honestly, they should probably go for a new IP.
But did any of the new Uncharted really leave you thinking, man, that's not a story that I need to see continued?
Uncharted 2 didn't need to.
I mean, I don't think Uncharted 3 gave you any kind of a cliffhanger.
Uncharted 3 was supposed to leave it to where
it was
done. I thought they were done.
The first one, Drake's Fortune, it didn't no real cliffhanger to it. So every entry that Naughty Dog's gave in most of their series don't really leave you with any.
Well, something with the Uncharted games and The Last of Us is The Last of Us was very story driven.
Yes.
So The Last of Us is the kind of a game that would kind of leave someone hanging. Uncharted is kind of like
it's the Indiana Jones video games.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you have so many different stories that you could tell of Nathan Drake.
Now there was a rumor. I believe I read it at some point last year that Naughty Dog was developing a new IP set in space, some kind of space story.
About that.
Do you think Naughty Dog? Obviously we all should probably have full confidence that Naughty Dog can deliver a good space game.
Mm-hmm.
But what kind of story could Naughty Dog really tell in space that would grab your attention? Do you want to see an Uncharted in space, or do you want to see something more like The Last of Us in space, which really brings you to almost being Dead Space?
Yeah. I have faith in Naughty Dog that whatever they do, they can do it outstandingly.
Or alternatively, could they revert back to the Crash Bandicoot games that they originally developed?
What if
Naughty
Dog's next project is a Crash Bandicoot reboot?
Well, the only problem with that is that they do not own the licenses. Activision bought those.
Okay, so that's out of the question.
But Activision's not made a Crash Bandicoot game since, you tell me, we'll both know.
That's one of those games that just died out, and it would be hard for it to come back with a resurgence simply because...
That's the main reason you didn't see Crash in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Somebody just couldn't acquire the license to use the character. But, Naughty Dog being the best developer in the world, why waste that kind of talent on a Crash Bandicoot platformer at this point?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a complete waste of studio.
What do you think? The people who made Resistance and Sunset Overdrive, Insomniac.
What if Media Molecule, that's the company that made Little Big Planet, those games, what if they got the licenses to the Crash Bandicoot series? I mean, obviously they passed off Little Big Planet. They didn't make 3. They are working on something. It's not been revealed. But what studio would be best suited to make a new Crash Bandicoot game?
I think Insomniac would be pretty good. I mean, they already make Ratchet and Clank. throw in another kind of
True.
cartoon character like that.
But I've never actually played Ratchet and Clank. Is that just like a true platformer, or? Because I mean, essentially,
I've never played any of them either.
Essentially, that's all Crash Bandicoot is a platformer.
Yeah, Ratchet and Clank was heavily on platforming, but they're also really heavy on weapons.
Okay.
So, like as you see, Resistance is heavy with weapons, Sunset Overdrive.
So back to Naughty Dog and what they may do next. You know, we talked about space. What other settings do you think would be really interesting to see Naughty Dog do?
I would. Well, I'm a history major, so I would obviously like to see Naughty Dog take something historically, like maybe a game set in the Revolution or the Civil War or some other era like that.
Some narrative-driven history.
And an era that Assassin's Creed hasn't already tackled. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go back to the French Revolution.
Well, have you noticed something about Naughty Dog's games? Every single one of their games has some kind of a supernatural or element to it. All the Uncharted games, they have something. The first one was and they take a big twist on it too, because El Dorado is supposed to be a big city of gold. Turns out it's a statue that infects people with some kind of virus and turns them into crazy mutants. The second one, Shangri-La, well, it's an actual place, but it's overrun by these big purple dudes who shoot you with crossbows.
These big purple dudes.
And the third one had Jinn.
Yeah.
So, and then Last of Us obviously has the infected. So if Naughty Dog does do a game in space, it's pretty safe to show that they will probably put some kind of supernatural element into it.
You would presume alien contact
Mm-hmm.
causes some kind of mutation in someone, and you go from there.
But then would it feel like Last of Us in space?
Which essentially makes it a Dead Space game.
Yeah.
You know, which I said earlier. Other than space, you said history. What is a setting for you that you think Naughty Dog could pull off really well that hasn't been done before?
Let's see. Assassin's Creed, Visit Medieval, and you had Renaissance, whatnot, Revolutionary. I was gonna say Wild West, but Red Dead Redemption kind of hit that. Okay. No, I really don't know. I mean, if you look at it,
well, Shuler, we're going to give you time to think about it.
Okay.
We're going to take our last break here with the Real Games Cast. We're going to come back. We're going to talk to Shuler again, and he's going to give me an answer on that. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about things Assassin's Creed has done and how Naughty Dog could probably do them better. We'll be back right after this. And welcome back to the Real Games Cast. I put Shuler on the spot right before the break, and I want to come back to it because I want a firm answer. Shuler, what setting can Naughty Dog pull off for you that they haven't done before?
Got an answer for you, Joe.
It's John, but good try.
Sarcasm. Anyways, a supernatural setting. Not the show, not anything like that, but obviously you said they can put supernatural elements. Jinn in Uncharted 3, the clickers, the infected. So they do monsters right. So give them a game where, I don't know, put heaven and hell in there. Just a little bit of supernatural element.
Okay. And Jordan, you brought up Assassin's Creed and their historical tellings, and you brought up some periods that you would like to see Naughty Dog do, but the Assassin's Creed's already done them. I want to talk a little bit about what could Naughty Dog do better than Ubisoft. What time period is best suited for that linear gameplay that Naughty Dog brings to the table? You know, they're not going to give you an open world. That's not their thing.
Yeah.
They're going to tell you a strict story through a linear setting. What time period is best suited for that Assassin's Creed has done?
It's kind of the same as that. Okay, it's kind of the same of the time period that I wanted Naughty Dog to do, which is Civil War. That's my favorite area of history. But I think that Naughty Dog could really pull off a American Revolution game.
Okay.
And Assassin's Creed,
which is probably the biggest one that Ubisoft dropped the ball on.
Yeah.
Is the Revolution.
I mean, so many people was wanting that Revolution setting, and they actually. I always thought that Ubisoft killed the setting. Just some of the characters in the story was kind of underwhelming.
I was really disappointed in the lack of revolutionary figures that popped up in the story.
Yeah.
I never played the DLC, The Tyranny of King Washington.
I didn't either.
But I've been told that, it introduced more elements of George Washington into the game, but not something that was really worth $10. I mean, how many of those founding father figures did we really see in that story? Paul Revere, I believe.
And then that mission was you driving the horse and he sat behind you. So
Yeah.
it was lame.
Yeah.
So it didn't put him. I don't know. Assassin's Creed 3 was supposed to be this big historical setting in the Revolutionary War period, but really it just came down to we won the war because of one guy, which is did not like it at all.
Right.
Because one guy doesn't change the war. Sorry.
So Assassin's Creed now they've done the setting in Jerusalem. We had that story. I'll tell your story. We had
The
Renaissance up through the Mediterranean with Constantinople and Assassin's Creed Revelations. We've had the American Revolution. What else we had?
Pirate Age.
The pirates.
the colonial era.
We basically had the Pirates of the Caribbean in video game form.
French Revolution.
And now we got the French Revolution. If you had to pick one of those settings right now for a 10 to 12 hour linear story, which one is best suited for it?
Medieval.
So back to Altair's timeline and that kind of stuff.
Do something with medieval.
Can Naughty Dog pull
I'd like
off
to
this
see.
sword combat though that you would have to have? Because guns is not an element in that game.
Yeah.
And their gunplay in Uncharted is probably the weakest part of the series. Their combat is not spectacular.
Last of Us it was.
It
They fixed it so
was much better than The Last of Us. Yes.
Well, maybe they could just try to give it a shot at swordplay.
I think Naughty Dog could do anything well enough.
But is well enough something you come to expect of Naughty Dog?
That's true. Yeah.
When we talk about Naughty Dog, anybody's going to be disappointed with something that's not a 10 out of 10. Uncharted 1, I think IGN, for example, gave it an 8.5. Then Uncharted 2 gets a
10.
10.
A 10. Uncharted 3 gets a 10. The Last of Us gets a 10. If they come out with something that is a 7.5, what's happened to Naughty Dog?
Yeah.
Naughty Dog's gone down the drain, which Naughty Dog's had a little bit of trouble over the course of the last year and a half. Amy Hennig leaving. Neil Druckmann's kind of and Bruce Straley has taken a much bigger role in the studio, which is fine. The Last of Us was directed by those two. That's the best game I've probably ever played. With the talent they have now, do you see them building up an entirely new engine? Because for swordplay, that's essentially what they're going to have to do.
Yeah.
Is build from the ground up the new engine. Do you see a new engine being something that they could pull off as well now, despite the talent losses they made last year? That they had last year. Try not to think too hard.
I think that they could. I mean, like I said, they can handle pretty much anything pretty well. But I think for them to really pull something off, I think they might need to stay in the same engine that they've. I mean, don't fix what's not broke.
Right. Maybe take that Last of Us engine, port it straight to something else.
Yeah.
Or even take the Uncharted engine, port it straight to something else.
Yeah, because if they did have to remake a whole new engine for swordplay, swordplay doesn't play out very well in video games very much. Some games it does. But
Assassin's Creed has probably nailed that better than anything they've done is the swordplay.
Yeah, and then you've got some like God of War is it depends on what kind of swordplay you want. Do you want
It's a button
combo or do you want the Assassin's Creed style?
We're going to wrap it up, guys. I want to thank everybody first off for tuning in to episode 2 of the Real Games Cast presented by Acclaimed Gaming. Again, I am your host, Mitch Smith. This is the most majestic name in the business, Jordan Augustus Dean. That is Tristan Shuler. I got to think of a nickname for you for next week. We got to move on from Comedy Cadet. We can't do that anymore. But again, follow us on Twitter at Real Games Cast. Support us on Patreon if you like what we're doing. Patreon.com/RealGames. And again, you can get all our content now exclusively at DacutoryGaming.com. I'm your host, Mitch Smith. You guys enjoy your week. We are out of here.